You don't understand taxes. Trust me, taxes are going to understand you. So today's show is Tax Tuesday Live. We're going to talk all about taxes and how people can get out from the burden of taxes and what you need to do to be proactive to reduce your tax bill. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kamari Ellis. I'm an enrolled agent, tax accountant for over 30 plus years. And today we're going to start something new, taxes. So today is Tax Tuesday Live, and we're going to talk to you all about taxes. Y'all know me. A lot of y'all know me. I've been here for quite some time talking about taxes, money, all things economics. But today, what I want to start doing is I want to start talking about taxes in a real meaningful way. Tax season is coming up, and I'm tired of seeing people get run through the coals because they are not proactive with their taxes and then complain that they're getting run over by their taxes because they haven't been proactive. It's really hard for many people, but I get it. But I'm here to help, and so I've got some questions that some people have asked me on my YouTube channel, and I said, all right, well, one day a week, I'm going to start dedicating a show just to talk about taxes, y'all, strictly taxes, and of course, I want to make it fun, or at least I'm going to try to make it fun. All right, so check this out.
You are now tuned in to
Tax Tuesday Live with Kamari.
All right, so every Tuesday, we're going to do a Tax Tuesday Live. Ideally, we're going to start these off at 7 p.m., but you never know, it might be 8 p.m. But I'll let you know in advance. I'll schedule them out in advance, and they'll already be out there so you'll know, and you'll be able to get your tax questions answered. And listen, right up front, if you do have tax questions and you want to send them to me, all you got to do is send them over to taxtuesdaylive@gmail.com. Again, taxtuesdaylive@gmail.com. And so I was digging in the archive and I found a clip that somebody sent me a long time ago. I never got a chance to respond to it. And they asked me what it was about and if it was indeed true. So let's check this out, y'all.
Her money.
Boom, there you go. She got a receipt. That's the tax write-off.
Okay.
Do you get tax write-offs in porn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I write off, like, when I get clothes, like lingerie. My hair is pretty expensive.
Your areola
nails.
is showing.
Oh my goodness.
nipples
You didn't
out.
even tell
He
me.
just told me in my ear.
I wasn't looking, so I wouldn't notice.
No, he just told me he was like her nipples out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. That's what happens. Like, when they're so big, it just, like, I don't know. It isn't. Okay. But, yeah, so I could write off, like, flights, hotels, things like that. So.
Boom, and you just got you a tax write-off just now.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you go.
You donated to
We-
Change for Change.
And we appreciate you joining us.
Now, let's run this back real quick. And I'm not trying to be fresh, y'all. I promise. Great looking sister. But she said a couple things about taxes. So let's focus in on the taxes and get y'all minds out of the gutter.
Write-off.
Okay.
Do you get tax write-offs in porn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm.
All right. So a lot of people ask, do you get tax write-offs from porn? Porn, sex work, stripping, anything in sex work is a business, right? So anytime you are doing business, you get the write-off, what the IRS will call an ordinary and necessary expense. The fact that you're doing business and you're looking to generate a profit is showing that you want to make money. The government likes that. The government's job with the IRS is to make sure that you are paying your taxes. So anything that is generate money, i.e. profits, the IRS can go after and tax them. So porn, sex work, stripping, no difference, right? And this is a judgment-free zone. We just want to talk about the facts, y'all. Nothing but the facts. But like she said, there are some things you can write off, all right?
I mean, I write off, like, when I get clothes, like lingerie. My hair is pretty expensive.
Now, I've seen this a lot. Many people think you can write off your clothes just because you're on camera, right? Because you're an entertainer. That is a bit of a gray area. While clearly she's going to be able to write off clothes for her profession, excuse me, y'all, or the lack thereof, the clothes. Here's the thing. Somebody could be telling her to write off clothes, right? Strippers might say, I've got heels, I've got boots, I've got undies and all kinds of stuff. But here's the thing. If the clothes can be used for a personal reason, like for her own personal reason, and not up on the stage to make money, if the IRS decides to audit you, or what they also call examine you, they might say, no. Those things are not allowable. They are not an ordinary and necessary benefit for your business. They're actually for personal use. And as a quick aside, I had an interview, or excuse me, a conversation with a IRS revenue agent yesterday because they are examining a client of mine. And one of the things that they are examining them for is some of the mills that they have claimed on their taxes. I didn't do the taxes. I didn't advise them. I'm just helping them resolve some of their problems with the IRS. But one of the things that's being contended is if some of these mills that they wrote off are actually indeed business mills or personal mills. And so, again, that can be a little bit tricky. And sometimes people get into these gray areas, again, ordinary and necessary, not needed for your business, where someone might say, oh, I went to the drive-thru one day during my lunchtime, and I'm writing this off. And these are real life scenarios, y'all. And then they say, hey, I can write this off. And I'm going to say, I had a meeting with myself on my lunch break at work to discuss my business. That's not how that works. That's a flag on the play. All right. So the IRS would deem that as not necessarily a business expense, but a personal expense. You need a couple things to say when you're having a meal or using, let's say, you know, the clothing or the hair, things like that. It needs to be, you know, deemed qualified for their business. One, you want to document it. And when you document it, here's a little secret. The IRS doesn't really care about your bank statements nor your credit card statements. A lot of times they want to see your actual receipts. And you should document on those receipts what the expenditure was for, the date it was for, and how it's going to benefit your business. And so a lot of times people don't do that. Most people, when they're in business, they don't have a bookkeeping system at all. So they don't have a way to classify and capture, or let me back it up, to capture their receipts and then classify those receipts so they can get at them. And so a lot of times when they have an audit or the IRS says, hey, this looks a little fishy, they don't have a way to prove it. The IRS loves to use a word called substantiation, a word called fancy word, substantiation, meaning you got to have proof in order to say this is a legitimate write-off. All right. So when the young lady talks about, you know, clothing and hair and things like that, if she were ever to be audited, it could be an issue. Now, this young lady's name, again, this is a clip from the Breakfast Club from many, many years ago. Like I said, somebody gave it to me, asked me to review it a long, long time ago. Her name is Layton Bennett. I'm not familiar with her work, but, you know, I'll check it out and see if it's really tax related, y'all. I'll see if it's tax related, y'all. All right, so